Hello, people of the world. It is my mission to give you the fastest introduction to AutoCAD I possibly can, because I know that's what I would want to see. And getting into a software like this, there's a lot going on. You just have to look for certain things and make sure controls are on before you get started at all. So as you're drawing, you need to have these buttons down here selected the right way. There's a double box. If you hover over it, it's called Object Snap. You want to go also alongside of that Object Snap button, hit the arrow next to it, bring up this menu, and make sure all of those check marks are checked. Some of them will not be. You have to go in there and turn those on. So check Midpoint, for instance, is not on when you just install AutoCAD. So you've got to make sure that those things are on to be able to keep up with the things that I'm doing, especially the Midpoint one. I don't know why it's not on when you start it off. Also note that the button to the immediate left needs to be turned blue, which means it's on. If you hover over that one, it's called Object Snap Tracking. That's when you're going to start a line. It gives you indications of where you're at in space, and it's incredibly important that you have that turned on. You also want this polar tracking on. We, in a project somewhere along the lines at the beginning here, are going to have this set to 45-degree angles to make your life a little bit easier. So that should be on. One more thing that we turn on, and I'll end up using, is if you click this 3-bar button right here, it brings up a big long menu. Line weight should be checked. It's not there. The check mark isn't there when you open the program. Check that. And then this button pops up when you do that. That gives you the ability to turn on the visibility of line weights, which you change as you work. So I'm going to turn that off for now so it's not so clumsy looking. But you want all that stuff on. Now, we're also going to set some controls for the sizes of these arrows and the way the measurements look and the size of the texts here. So we're going to go into this command line here. The easiest way to do this is to just type in the letters DDIM, hit enter, go into the modify menu here. I know this is a lot. You can just pause the video and step through this. You just need to make the changes that I have set up here. So again, if you didn't catch that, you're typing in DDIM and then hit enter. It opens this menu. You go to modify. You're going to go to the symbols and arrows menu. You're going to make sure that this measurement right here is 0.125. Where if you type in 1/8 and 1/8, that's an eighth of an inch, or that's the decimal equivalent. You also want to turn where it says center marks here, hit this option where it says none. Then you're going to go to the text tab. Click the text tab. Also make sure that the text height is 0.125 or an eighth of an inch. Again, 0.125 is all you need to type in there. Click the fit tab then, and you're going to choose the option where it says always keep text between the lines. That means you're always going to have a forced situation here. Also, click this check. Suppress the arrows. It'll turn the arrows. If you're in a really tight space with a measurement, it'll just turn the arrows off and it'll give you more space with the measurement. Sometimes that helps. I know this is a lot when you don't know the program, but these are presets that help. Yeah, that's the beginning settings that you need to have turned on before we can get into something like this, project one. All right, so that's the basics. We're going to make a title block. And this will be pretty simple now based on everything we just turned on. You're going to click new. Whoop, sorry, this menu came up in a different spot because I'm on dual screen here. This AutoCAD file, when you hit open, is just a preset of AutoCAD template inches. What I want you to do is right out of the gate, save it. You're going to do save as. I'm going to bring this again back over here. My students are going to have to save this in the U drive. The first thing that you're going to do, though, is you're going to type in a period for my students' name and then title block. And then you're going to save this in the U drive, which you're going to find by dropping this down. And again, this is for my students. I'm on a home computer. This is not going to be the same thing that you're going to see, but you're going to save the file right out of the gate as title block. Then you're going to start with a line. going to click down. Doesn't have to be right on top of this origin point, but you're going to go pretty close to the origin point. You're going to click, start going to the right and dragging, and we're going to just take a quick look at this because it's everybody's first time here. Right now we're going straight to the right, which if you're looking at a set of degree markings on a protractor, straight to the right is 0 degrees. Straight up would be 90 degrees. So just doing that real quick so you know what you're looking at. All you're going to do is type in the number 11 and then hit enter, and it's going to make the line that 11-inch measurement, and it's going to keep it there at 0 degrees for right now. That's all you need to know. Just hit enter. So all I did is I made a horizontal line going to the right, exactly 11 inches long. We're goaling for is making a layout that's the size of a piece of regular printer paper, which is 8.5 by 11. Okay, then we're just going to move this line straight to the vertical direction. Again, we're just going to, you can see that as I go in this direction, it's telling me a length, and then it's telling me an angle. It's telling me on that 90 degrees, which again is going straight up and down. But if I type in 8.25, which is 8.25 inches, and just hit enter, it's going to snap that line to 8.25 inches. And I can just keep going here. So I'm going to go back to the left here, get it horizontal, type in 11 for 11 inches, hit enter. It's going to stop to 11 inches, and then I can just go to the bottom here and close this off by making sure I have a green dot. And then your best friend in CAD, escape, the escape key. You use the escape key all the time. Right now is what I'm going to say. Your hand should pretty much be resting on the keyboard over the top of the escape key for the most part when you're working on this. I'm also noting that if you have to undo something, Control Z to go back or Control Y to go forward, two controls that help a lot, but you're always using the escape key. I just finished a line using the escape key. The next thing that you're going to do is use this existing line to make two lower parallel lines to it with an offset command. This is a tool that's used consistently all the time. So if you hover over it, you see that there's this offset menu control explanation that comes up. I'm just going to click it. It's weird because you have to click the line usually 3 times before it starts to work. At the beginning of this, you don't really need to know anymore that it's just going to take you a few clicks before you get this line. It'll go in either direction depending on where you're moving it to. So we're going to the left and 1/2 inch. So you can see that measurement box that's there. If you go to the left, just type in 0.5 and then hit enter, and it's going to do it. After you've gotten it started, you only have to click 1 time to get it to do it again. So we're going to offset this again, 0.5. So we have just a double set of offset lines. Now we're going to draw a separation line. And here's where this snap tracking is coming into play. I'm going to start drawing a line here. And as I get over the midpoint of this line, here, I'm just drawing this right here. I just have to connect the line there, and I have to hit escape when I'm done drawing that line segment. But it picked up on the fact that I was looking for halfway point. So it found the midpoint, and that's what I did before when I asked you to turn on this midpoint tracking. It found the midpoint of that line, and it made it easier for me to draw a perpendicular line to the midpoint of this vertical line to get that separation. And again, just to give you a quick reference review. This is a paper my students will have in front of them, but I'm creating the placeholders for name, date, scale, title, and period. All right. These 2 lines here, to split this into 3 parts is going to be a whole nother set of thoughts when it comes down to what you're doing with. All the way out here with a new one. What we're going to do is use these horizontal side lines to make offsets and put lines here where we need them, and then we're going to get rid of what we don't need. So watch this. It's going to be click the offset, click this. Again, you have to click it 3 times to get the first offset started when you're starting this command. And then you're going to type in a 2.75, or it's actually 2 3/4, either way, but we're going to do this with the top and the bottom horizontal line. 2.75. And then you're going to go into this trim tool, click, 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 and that's how you set that all up. So that's the basic title block setup without the text. So putting the text in is relatively simple. You're going to start off with a horizontal text box. The first thing that you need to have in there is a name. So we're just going to type in for now. You can put in your name, but actually capitalize this because oftentimes engineers and architects will do that. So if you hit enter, it's going to try and text wrap it. If you click away from it, it's going to finish it. Here's the thing with text. It's not hard to rotate as long as you know how to order this thing. When you finish with text, if you click on it, you see these 3 anchor points. This has to do with the length. If you grab this anchor point and stretch it, it'll shorten the text box. We don't need to worry about that. We just need to rotate this thing. But if you click it and you see these things, you choose rotate, and then you click again on this, it should give you an anchor point and you'll be able to rotate it. You just rotate it 90 degrees so it's up and down. After you rotate it, you hit the escape key. You want to make sure that nothing else is selected, and you can just grab this anchor point on the end of it, put it wherever you want. And then here's the other thing. You're going to copy and paste it. If you just hit Control C and then Control V on the keyboard, you can just do that a bunch of times. If you need 4 of these, and you do this 4 times. And then you can just do this. You type in, you highlight over the top of it, and just start typing what you want to replace it with. Date, for example, it is 11, 12, 23. Again, click away from it, and it's just going to rotate it. If you click on it and grab that anchor point, you can place it right where you want it to be. Another super key point of this is the closer you're zoomed in, the much more accurate your movements are going to get. So it becomes really good practice in moving your mouse around, zooming in and out. Placing these takes a little bit of trial and error practice, but you can see if you just double click, it's not working because I have multiple things selected. So I again escape. If I double click it, it should just go into a text edit. And there's a scale 1. This one is a custom. Boom. Yeah, you can keep grabbing this and moving it around. It really does help a lot to be zoomed in. Hit my escape key. You can see it's not centered up down. And if I grab it closer, not too hard to do. Might as well just do this whole thing. Again, I have to hit escape so I'm not selecting multiple things on my screen here, and then I can double click it. This one's called block. Pressing down on the mouse wheel to be able to pan the screen around if you haven't figured that out yet. And this is your first video ever. It's an important control. Last one down here is specific to my students. Again, I'm hitting escape so nothing else is selected. It's trying to select multiple objects. I'm going to double click on my text there. There it goes. This one's period. Whatever period my students are in, so they can print this. Then click escape. I'll look better on this. That in the right place. You can see what this looks like when I go to print. Again, I'm going to go to the print menu one more time so you can see the point of this is so you can, or you can hit the print button right here. I have a bunch of things open. This is just saying select a single sheet. When you go into a printer and you change this to display to extents, if I go into the preview of what this is going to look like, you can see that this is going to print all of these lines and fit it to the page exactly how I want. And they're going to be the right size, the 11 by 8.5. And everything that we do is going to be on top of this file. So you just know at this point, you hit save. You want to make sure that you look up here and it'll say the save file name. This is your first time doing a save. At this point, there's one other thing that can be done. Just click on the top corner, drag the mouse down to the right, click again. It's going to highlight everything, all the lines on the screen. You can go into this drop-down menu here and change the line weight to 1 millimeter, which will be all of our border lines. And what happens is you don't see anything, but it did make that change. This control right down here that we turned on before, this line display, display. What happens is if I go back into this print menu and I turn this weight control on, so I have to keep going back through the print settings. You'll see that now my weights, my borders are all a little bit thicker. I had a dog playing with a toy and she's growling. And before I had to end the video because she started drinking water and it was really loud. But that's the end of the video and I'm not going to stop and go back now. So we have a little bit of playing puppy at the end here. Anyway, that's how you make a title block. Make sure that you save this wisely, carefully, because this will be used again and again in future videos. I'll see you soon.